Hey everybody, Dockside Gamer here and welcome back to the channel. Now I am back doing a basic starting point for Demon Souls today, and I'm going to be going over how to create your character. You'll see me doing that in the background. I'll go over the tutorial area for when you first load into the game. I'll also show you Boltaria, which is the first world in this game. I'll go over the Phalanx boss fight, which is also in Boltaria. I'll go over the Nexus and leveling up after the Phalanx fight. And finally, I'll talk about world tendency, which is something that people don't really know too much about, or in my opinion. Now, if you like this stuff, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and it's free. You can always unsubscribe later. So, as you can see, I chose the Barbarian class. I start with a club and a shield. For some reason, it starts with 2 clubs. I thought I could do some, dual wielding with them, but I couldn't. I don't know why it starts with 2 clubs. If someone in the comments wants to tell me why, maybe I just overlooked something. But anyways, I decided to go with the Barbarian. Clubs, shield, and just some very non-existent armor. So the tutorial area is pretty straightforward. It's a pretty straight line that you just follow. You fight a couple of basic enemies, you pick up some healing grass, and then you get to the boss. Now this boss, if you don't know, you do not have to kill him. Now I try every single time. I haven't beat him very often, just because I always make a small mistake and I get killed. You get the souls from him, obviously, and you go to another part of the game where you can get some basic upgrade materials, some basic healing stuff, and I think a helmet, but you automatically die. So whether you live or die in this boss fight, you will die seconds later when you move into the next area. Either way, you're getting sent to the hub world, the Nexus. Now the Nexus is just it's the hub of this game. It's your Firelink Shrine, it's your Majula. This is where you level up, upgrade your gear, and travel between worlds. So if you did not know, if you're in a singular world, so as you see, I'm going to the gates of Boltaria, that's world 1. Within that world, there are shortcuts to get between spots, but there's no fast traveling in the world. If you want to move from place to place, you need to go back to the bonfire, I think it's called a shrine in this, honestly I can't remember, and you have to go back to Nexus and travel that way. Now, it's kind of a pain, just because it's the same as Bloodborne, right? You have to go back to your hub to travel to another area. So they may have fixed that in the remaster when they brought this game back out. I cannot remember for the life of me, and I apologize for that. If someone in the comments wants to correct me, by all means, please correct me. Anyway, this is a great time to talk about the healing in this game. So I mentioned it before, it's healing grass. There's no Estus Flask, there's no life gems, there's some healing spells, but mostly your main way of healing is Crescent Moon Grass or just any kind of moon grass. Now, it's a consumable item. You can have unlimited, obviously, if you grind for it, and the starting area is a great place to do that because they don't drop much else besides grass. So if you find yourself getting low on any healing items, go here. You can run through the area and collect a bunch of grass. But the Crescent Moon Grass only heals I want to say a quarter of your health, not a whole lot. So if you are going to be using a lot of Crescent Grass, just be wary of that. Then you have your half moon grass, then just full moon grass, and then it just goes up from there. Each heal a different amount. So going through the area again, this is a pretty straightforward area. If you played Dark Souls 1, obviously this game came before it technically, but this game relies heavily on shortcuts, as Dark Souls 1 did at the start, where there are 2 main shortcuts in this area. One of which, it's in that very first area where the big gate was that I passed. There's 2 gates on either side of that, on the left and right. I passed one when I came up this path, and you go through the area, unlock those, and then eventually it all loops back around, so when you come down that second shortcut, you can go right into the boss room. Now you're probably kind of thinking, why is there shortcuts if the boss room is right at the start of the area? Well, there are some grinding spots in this area. They don't give a lot of souls. As you can see, I've killed a bunch of enemies and I'm sitting at 350 souls. That's not something you really see in the later Souls games. Generally, you have like probably a couple thousand when you start killing enemies, but these enemies only give you like maybe 20, 30 souls each. So grinding, if you want to grind, there's specific spots where you can get like a couple hundred souls to start, and then you can kind of go from there. But just don't expect to get mass amount of souls from this, especially in the first area. All the first stages of each world will give about the same amount of souls, except for, I think, world 5. People can correct me on this again. I think that's Island's Edge, and those do give a few hundred souls each. But it's also way more difficult. So just be careful of that. So as you've seen, I'm just kind of going through the area. I'm showing where all the items are that I know of. The fire in this game, if you come across a fire barrel and it's been lit up and exploded, give it a few seconds. Don't just try and run through, because it will take out probably 75% of your health. So just be careful of that. But moving on, the area is not that difficult, to be honest. Like, when I first started playing Demon Souls back in 2009, 2010 when this came out. Oh my god, that was a long time ago. Or the remake, which in my opinion is so much better. It can be a little bit difficult if you don't really know what you're doing. Like, the enemies can catch you off guard. Like, there's that hollow attack pattern that you see in Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and I think Dark Souls 3, where they swing and then they do like a bunch of rapid fire swings. You get that a lot in this first area. Of course, because it's the first area of the game, the hollows are the weakest enemy of the game, so they need something to kind of combat that. Now, if you've watched videos on my channel before, I haven't went back to it in a long time, but I have started the run where I'm only going off of enemy drops. If you've watched those streams, I'm in a bad way with that, because mostly the enemies just don't drop very good weapons. They don't drop very good armor. As you've seen, I picked up a new sword. I have the strength to two-hand it. So like in Dark Souls 1, I don't know if I went over it in my Dark Souls 1 basics video. If you two-hand a weapon, you cut the strength requirement not in half, but it's like, I want to say like 30 or 40% of what you actually need. So if something requires like 20 strength to actually use, then if you two-hand it, it might only cost like 15. So because of that, I can use the bastard sword. And honestly, it's a decent sword to start out with. And I hardly ever start out with it just because it's heavy. I generally don't start with characters that have a lot of strength at the start. Generally, I'll go for the spellcasters. It's cheap, and I don't care. But I don't really do many strength builds in Demon Souls. Now, as you've seen, the fire kind of got those guys almost immediately. It will do the same to you. So just be careful of those fire barrels. Now, you see that little doorway? You want to go in there. It will pay off later when you open up the shortcut later on, which is where we're going towards. But you'll go through the doorway, you'll see a chain, and then you just hit it. So you'll think, oh, well, that doesn't really do anything. It will at the bottom. So that drops an item that you can take back to the Nexus and trade in for a ring. When I go back to the Nexus after the boss fight, I'll show you where to trade in that item and get a ring. So continuing on, really, it's very straightforward. There's not many side areas to get lost in this game. It's all very, very linear. So right now, I'm going to unlock the first shortcut. So in case I die, I can come back here and not do that initial starting part of which you just watched. And at the bottom of these stairs is an extremely important item, especially if you're just playing by yourself. I'll go over that, the online, offline play, when I look at World Tendency. That will be near the end of the video. But just know the item I'm about to pick up is very important. The item here is called the Cling Ring. Now, if you don't know, when you're in soul form, so when you die, you are at half health. You have half your maximum health every time you die until you become human again and get your full health back. The Cling Ring makes it so you go up to 75%. That's huge. If you want to stay in soul form, which very recommended, especially if you're just playing by yourself, then you want the Cling Ring. You only have 2 ring slots like in Dark Souls 1, so it does use up one of your slots, but I highly recommend you use the Cling Ring. It is an extremely important ring to use, especially early on in the game, where having half health just doesn't cut it sometimes. You take a lot of damage from some enemies, especially early on in the game, where maybe if you started there with like a barbarian where it doesn't have a lot of armor, you might want that extra bit of health. It'll really help you out. Now another ring, if you look right here, you'll see a little ledge. There's no jumping in this game. You can vault over certain spots, which this is one, and you can get an item. Another ring called the Thief Ring. Also, extremely important ring. It makes it harder for enemies to detect you. So if you use that, and enemies, they will spot you not nearly as far away as they normally do. So that's a pretty good ring to have on. Now, you drop down, you rescue... Oh, what's his name? I cannot remember for the life of me what his name is. Anyways, you rescue him. He will give you a brass telescope. To this day, I have no idea what that brass telescope is used for. It might help with aiming, with like manual aiming of spells and arrows, like the telescope does in later games. But honestly, I don't know. If someone in the comments wants to tell me what that brass telescope is used for, let me know. I've beaten the game quite a few times, but honestly, I haven't dove too far into like what does what in this game, if that makes any kind of sense. Anyway, moving on. As you go through this area, you'll have him helping you out, and you get your first upgrade items. So you get a sharpness shard and you get a hardness shard. You can take those back to the Nexus. You can upgrade your weapons with those. Sharpness shards do your dexterity-based weapons, and the hardness shards do your strength-based weapons. So the Bastard Sword is a strength-based weapon. So when I go back to the Nexus, I'll upgrade it using the hardness shards. As you go, you'll find everything you need, obviously through drops, through just like actual item placement. But just know that when you go to upgrade your weapon, you're going to need hardness shards, you're going to need the next step, I can't remember what the name of them are. You're going to need all of them up until you get to the max upgrade for any weapon. So just don't get rid of your items if you don't think you'll need them. Keep everything. In my opinion, keep everything you ever pick up. It might keep your inventory or your item storage cluttered, but it's just a good idea. You never know what you'll actually need later on in the game. So as you can see, I'm just kind of moving through the area pretty quickly. It's not too difficult. I've taken a few hard hits. I've had to back away a few times, but overall, it's not too bad. Now, as you go, the whole place kind of loops around. You'll eventually find a merchant, and he sells a lot of basic stuff. You can buy a basic set of armor, you can buy weapons, you can buy shields. It's all very, very like first level stuff basically. So if you want to waste your souls on it, then by all means. I don't, just because the items that he sells it's not great, and he will move with you throughout the game. So if you don't buy it now, you can always go and find them later, and you can buy the stuff then when you have a few more souls. Because right now I've gained 1,600 souls, and I don't want to waste those on items when I can level up after the boss fight. And I'd rather put those souls into levels and weapon upgrades rather than trying to buy other pieces of gear or like healing items when you get plenty of them dropped. So going through this fog door, you'll find the first grinding spot. You can use this spot to grind for souls if you don't feel like risking a whole lot. So it's a boulder trap, and there's a few boulders that roll down, and if you don't break those, you'll have to fight a bunch of enemies anyways. But it's just a super quick way to get 112 souls. So if you want to do some early grinding, that's a spot to do it. But you're also going to be coming up on another grinding spot, one of which gives a lot more souls, and it's not dangerous per se, but there is a risk of dying while you're waiting for the event to happen. Now, if you remember Dark Souls 1, there was a great big bridge right at the start of the game. There was a nice big dragon that came and pretty much wiped everything out on the bridge, and you could use that for early on grinding. Where do you think the game got it from? Got it from this area. This area can be used for grinding. So when you go up to the bridge, and I'll go up there in a second after I clear this area, you wait a little bit. You'll see the dragon hover above the bridge a little, as you can see him trying to avoid fighting. I think I'll take this guy out, but I avoid fighting everyone else. You'll see the dragon fly up, and you wait for him to start breathing fire. Now the trick here, as soon as he starts breathing fire, run as fast as you can back the other way. I'll show you exactly what I mean, but if you don't, then you kind of have to wait even longer. Like I kind of screwed it up a little here, but if you wait, he will come back and he will breathe fire. So you kind of have to, it's a waiting game, unfortunately. Like, if you mess it up the first time, there. Alright, so the dragon will come back. If you wait in this spot, he'll start breathing fire, and then book it. Book it back where you came, turn right, and you go over this way. Now there is a reason for it. If you have him breathing fire, it takes him so long to get back here, you come to an area where he will be resting. Now you can grab all these items. They're decent items to grab. I think there's a ring, there's a decent shield, there's some upgrade items, there's some healing items. Now in saying that, this other dragon may not seem hostile, but he will get you with his tail if you're not careful. And I got whacked. So anyway, I make my way back thanks to the shortcut I opened. I pick up the rest of the items, and now I can book it the other way. Now you're probably thinking, what about the dragon? What about the fire-breathing dragon? So if you time it well enough, he will not show his face again while you are trying to run back. So I skipped over it, but you run back across the bridge and you're safe. You won't get fire breathed on you. And you'll open up the gate to the boss door. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, how do you get to the boss room? You're in the building. You have to make your way down. Same as the first shortcut they opened, you run down another tower and open up the second shortcut of this area, and then you can run right into the boss room if you wish. As you noticed, I have significantly less souls. That's because I died twice on my way there to get my souls back. It sucks. It happens though. Only losing I think I had 2,500 souls. It's not that big of a deal early on. So if you are dying a lot in this first area, try not to worry too much about it. You will get those souls back in major proportions later on in the game. So, first boss I'm going to be running towards now. Honestly, Phalanx, not that difficult. He looks intimidating because there's a lot of enemies in there. And if you're not prepared, he will take you quickly just because of the extra monsters in his boss room. Anyways, I'll get to that in a second. But now, at the bottom of the tower, you can open up this gate and you unlock the second shortcut. So if you want to do the bridge grinding with the dragon, this is the way you go. You take that shortcut back up the way you came, and you can trigger the dragon. So, Phalanx. He's weak to fire. As you've seen throughout this whole walkthrough, I've picked up plenty of pine resin, which adds fire to your weapon, and plenty of fire bombs. Those are self-explanatory. Use them. Might as well use them. So as soon as you go in, you can apply fire to your weapon, and they are extremely weak to fire. So you'll see, I take them out in one hit with my sword, and it'll go through their shields. So if you don't have fire, your attacks will just bounce off their shields. If you have fire on your sword, you'll do less damage, but you won't be blocked. So you can just keep swinging. So the goal of Phalanx, generally, get rid of all the extra monsters on him. And then once you clear them out, he can attack. Phalanx is literally a defenseless blob unless he has his little demons here. So generally, try to kill them as best as possible. If you can, right at the start when they're all grouped up on the Phalanx, throw fire bombs. They have a nice wide area of effect to actually hit a lot at once. But as you can see, now that the shields aren't on him, you don't need fire on your sword. The fire on the sword it does more damage. I end up putting it back on just to speed the fight up, but you don't need it. As soon as the shields are off Phalanx, you can easily take him out with any weapon you want. It's just trying to get those shields off. That's what the main problem is. And if you notice, they will throw spears at you. That's how he can take you quickly. Because there's so many of them, if they all start throwing spears at you, then they can do a lot of damage to you. So all those enemies that was on him, they have a chance to drop some upgrade weapons as well, or upgrade items, as well. So once you're done Phalanx, just run around and get as many of those items as you can. If you have really good item find, you might get a lot of upgrade items from it. So when you beat a boss, you can come here, rest at the... Oh, sorry, it's called an archstone, not a shrine. Anyway, you rest at the archstone, and then you can go back to Nexus. So now that you're back at Nexus, you have the ability to level up eventually. You still have to talk to a couple things. I'll get into that in a second. But first, the item you get from chopping that chain down earlier, you can give to Stockpile Thomas. He mentions something about a hair ornament, which is what you picked up. You can give it to him. You can choose not to, but you get an item from it, so you might as well. He gives you a ring. It's a ring I don't normally use because honestly I don't ever think to use it. It's called the ring of Herculean Strength. So what that is, it raises your item capacity by 50%. Yes, item capacity is a thing. That means that you can only have so many items in your inventory at any given time. So every item has its own weight, and if you exceed that item capacity limit, then you can't pick up any more items. So just be mindful. In the remake, you can send items directly to your item storage from your inventory, so that's good. Anyway, leveling up. You talk to the Maiden in Black, she'll tell you to go to the top of the tower. You talk to him, you come back down to the Maiden in Black, and now you have the ability to level up. So it's not that difficult. It will send you on a little bit of a wild goose chase, because then you're just running back and forth. It's kind of a pain, but whatever. You now have the ability to level up. So leveling up works the same way as every other Dark Souls. You have your basic stats, and there's not really much difference. So leveling up is pretty basic. Just know that your endurance does your equip load, and your stamina, and your item capacity. What I really want to touch on before the end of this video is World Tendency. So World Tendency is a karma system in this game. Now, depending on your actions through the game, I'll throw up a little blurb about it, but depending on what you do throughout the game will affect your World Tendency, going from white to black. So if you have a white tendency, that means you've done really good things, you've killed bosses, you haven't died, stuff like that, and that means that the world will be easier. You'll unlock other specific things. You won't get as many souls though. That's the downfall. For black tendency, that means the world is a lot harder. You still unlock some other areas, and you'll get more souls. So just be mindful of that. Now, the way to keep World Tendency from going black, kill yourself in the Nexus. The more you die in human form in a world, the more your tendency will lead to black. Now, the more that you kill bosses in a world without dying in human form, so put yourself in soul form, that means that you can increase your World Tendency to white, then you'll have a little bit of easier time, and you can go through and get some extra items. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel of what does what, but just know that depending on what you do throughout the game, if you stay in soul form, your World Tendency will be white by the end of each world. I 100% guarantee it. But that's pretty much all I got for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you guys want more of this, please let me know. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.